Thanks for joining me for part 2 of the Grand Alaskan Adventure, day 10 through 19. It's only north from here. Day 10 was admittedly not our best day. It started out with a good breakfast though. We mixed our leftover eggs with the biscuits and gravy Mountain House meal. Leaving the campsite, we missed the main road we were supposed to go to, but didn't realize that for several miles, which is how most of the rest of the day went. We got lost, quite lost. My Garmin inReach decided to stop working completely. Absolutely no cell phone coverage, and almost no people. This is when I decided it would be a good time to crash. Tighter than expected corner, huge amount of gravel, and a nice big pothole at the apex of the corner. It was a perfect recipe for a low side. Wear your gear, kids.
Well, that was fun. I think everything should be okay. Except for this windshield. Phone's good. Wow, that ram mount held that the whole time. What a good ram mount. But that is extremely steep. So help me out here a little bit, Matthew. Yeah, I'm gonna be leaning this way a lot, so just make sure I don't. All right. Dang it.
We looked the bike over and everything looked fine. As we went further, a section of the road was closed and we had to take a detour. This is where we got really lost. After going for a while on this detour, the road started to get smaller, then it went to dirt. That's when we stopped and took a look at the maps. A guy in a truck pulled up next to us and asked us if we knew where we were going. And he asked if we knew how to get back to the road, as he was also lost. We were way off, almost 40 miles off. We had the maps and he knew the area a little bit better than we did. And the roads were so bad we couldn't go above about 35. Sorry for the lack of footage with all this, it was a bit stressful and I forgot to record. Soon enough we made it to the coast, and then into the redwoods. We took a little walking path and got some pictures. We don't think this is the real redwoods, because the trees were big and tall, but not quite to the same scale everyone usually makes it out to be. A major milestone for the trip was getting to the west coast, and it looks like we were here just in time to witness a beautiful west coast sunset. Before the sun went completely down, we made it to the Redwoods RV Park. The next day we headed out towards Crater Lake. After a huge elevation gain, we made it to the main outlook area. We took our pictures and decided to drive to the other side as well. It was also the fastest way to our place for the night. Unfortunately, there was quite a bit of traffic and construction on the road around the rim. While it might not look all that slanted here, it was very slanted, and I did not compensate enough for the slant and went down hard because of it. And of course, the tank bag was partially open, spilling out some of its contents into the little stream of water. My blinker also broke, so now it matches Matthew's. The other side of Crater Lake looked nice, kinda the same, so we took our pictures and we're back on the road. All the gas stations in Oregon are full service. Matthew and I had never experienced this before. It seems kinda pointless if you ask us Florida boys. Notice how shaky the footage looks now? Having only half the windshield really messes up the aerodynamics. My 8th grade US history teacher's parents have a house in Oregon. Mr. K was there that night but left early the next morning for Japan. to teach for the summer. They fed us dinner and breakfast and let us camp in the soft Oregon grass in the backyard. I took out the drone before we left to show the kids. We cannot thank the Kelikehele'ua family enough for their hospitality. Before we left, they told us a couple places to check on our way north. One of those places was right off of A1A, just a spectacular overlook. As we got into Washington, the roads mostly turned to huge highways, and it turns out I didn't record any footage in Washington. Whoops. We stayed with my relatives for 2 days to rest and do some needed maintenance on the bikes. We needed that rest day. Sleeping in and not worrying about getting anywhere in the morning was a blessing. Received my new windshield and my replacement ID, since I lost my original ID in the Grand Canyon entrance. Another huge thank you to my family for letting us stay with them in Kent and making a connection to someone they knew in Anchorage, Alaska that we might even be able to stay with. Okay, now into Canada. Well, after about 2 hours of Canadian border agents searching through every compartment on our bikes, and then not knowing how it all fits back together. This has been mostly footage of our first day's ride in Canada. We made it to a small RV park for the night, a nice place, but mosquitoes were in swarms. Mountain house meals for dinner, and some eggs we have in the cooler for breakfast. We had finally, officially escaped the heat. Now it was usually between 40 and 50 at night and 50 and 60 during the day, and it was like this until very north Alaska, where it actually got warmer. Day 15, second day in Canada. Time to put our liners into our jackets and put away the summer gloves for good. Canada's gas stations are a bit strange. It'll say 116.9. So that means $1.16 per liter. We didn't care enough to do the conversion more than about once a day to check our mileage. Pretty solidly 45 to 48 miles per gallon. It was a smooth day. We stopped at Prince George, a place called Milo's Kitchen, for lunch. Good food and kind of fancy for us, actually. Canadian roads aren't the most interesting, although a deer decided to give us a bit of a scare today. We got around him without any drama. There were some beautiful views coming into the campsite for the night. It was going to get down to 44 tonight, so time to double up the sleeping bags. It was a nice campsite with some soft grass and nice bathrooms, a rarity for Canada. They are usually just the hole-in-the-ground style. The only problem was this bird. It chirped all night, constantly. We investigated it in the morning after eating our eggs with biscuits and gravy, a favorite for us now. A little baby bird crying for its mom all night. We were able to watch the mama bird feed it. That was cool. Still wish it would have shut up though. Stopped at a gas station for lunch. They had a little cafeteria in it. Everything's pretty expensive in Canada. Matthew related the prices to theme park prices down in Orlando. Stopped at a couple more overlooks today. Other than that, there was not much to see. Found a beautiful, open, and deserted campsite with a nice river running right next to us. We were about 20 minutes from town, so we went there to fill up the bikes. Always nice to start the day with a full tank, and to grab some dinner. Although there was no cell phone signal anywhere, so we weren't really sure what to expect. Turns out the gas station closed at 8, it was 8:30. But the one and only food place was open until 9, so we got some food from the shack, literally, that's what it was, and headed back to the camp. Day 17, we woke up around 8. It was cold, dark, and raining. So it was a mutual decision to go right back to sleep for about another hour or two. Rained quite a bit last night, but pretty nice campsite, completely deserted. There's absolutely no one here except for us. So, yeah, pretty nice little spot, and tent held up well. We didn't really realize it was going to rain because we don't have any cell coverage here whatsoever, and it It was just cloudy. From Florida, we don't really understand this. So, yeah, everything got a little bit wet, but everything that can get wet got wet. Everything that couldn't, didn't. So, we're pretty good there. Yeah, pretty nice campsite overall. Even nice view. Got the river flowing down there. And we'll start our day. Looks like we're gonna miss Canada Day by about 1 day. Bummer. It was the 150th celebration. We met a guy named Alan at a gas station. He had traveled up from Jacksonville, Florida and was on his way to Homer, Alaska to see his brother. He was on a Kawasaki Versailles. Matthew saw 4 bears today. I only remember seeing 2 or 3. They were all black bears on the side of the road, usually not too big, although it seems the further north we go, the larger they get. Once again, there were some beautiful outlooks today. We stopped by a lake that had this beautiful Caribbean blue water. After we had gotten off the bikes by the water's edge, 3 dogs came out of the trees. We weren't worried as they looked like friendly dogs, and they were. 2 more bears today. They're definitely getting bigger. This far north, the town's gas station is really the everything store. Restaurant, grocery store, and gas station all in one. Which is great for us, one-stop shop with everything we need. The one we stopped at for lunch today, the chef was out for the day, but he had made crockpot chili, which after a pretty cold day of riding, chili sounded perfect to us. We made it to Whitehorse tonight, found a nice little hole-in-the-wall place called Big Bear Donaires. They had gyros and beers. We both highly recommend this place. Matthew had his first legal beer too. Yay, Canada! We are staying at a little campground just outside the city. Next to our tent was a couple that had only one 250 Enduro motorcycle. They are from Italy and started their adventure in Costa Rica 9 months earlier. Riding 2 up on a little 250cc bike with all their gear for 9 months amazed Matt and I. We had to pay for showers at this campgrounds. No big deal, we had plenty of quarters. Except it turns out American quarters won't work. So we washed up in the sinks, good enough. It doesn't really get fully dark anymore, still fairly light at 1 a.m. So, had a slight problem this morning. Tried to adjust the chain, and the threads on the chain adjuster finally gave out right here. So we went to Listeners Motorsports, and yeah, they helped us out, got us a bolt that worked, and adjusted the chain, and we're back ready to go. It's only 12 o'clock, still pretty early start-ish. Good enough. Day 18, we made it to Alaska today. Breakfast at McDonald's. Matt noticed a little maple leaf in the middle of the Golden Arches, just to remind you you're in Canada. After leaving Whitehorse, the weather really became perfect. Blue skies, 70 degrees, we could not have asked for a nicer day. We had lunch on the shore of this giant lake. It was really beautiful and had just crystal clear water. We took our pictures at the international border. The tree gap that separates the 2 countries is really impressive. It just goes for miles and miles. We made it to Tulk, Alaska for the night and found a nice little campsite with laundry. It's 1 a.m. About 300 miles from Anchorage. It's still pretty light out. Sunset about an hour ago. And sun's going to rise in about 2 hours. Yeah, 3:50 I think. A fairly overcast day today, but with only 300 miles to go to Anchorage, we were feeling good. We figured out what was smelling so bad in the cases, especially mine. The sponge that we used to clean out the pans had rotten egg in it, so we had to trash those. We met a lady on a bicycle at the camp. She was riding from Anchorage to Peru. We got some great drone footage on our way over to Anchorage and found another superb overlook. A little bit of rain, but we could see it coming for dozens of miles. Marie, who was an old friend of Nancy's, my family member we stayed with in Washington. Marie called us just as we were getting into downtown Anchorage. She asked us to meet her at a local diner, which happened to be right next to us. She bought us dinner and dessert and said we could stay with her in her guest bedroom. Now Matt and I had to figure out what we wanted to do in Alaska. We had the MotoQuest book, and we were looking through the different trips that were described in the book. Whether to go down to Homer, Alaska, or up to Prudhoe Bay, or maybe just to the Arctic Circle. There was all kinds of trips that we could do. Thank you for watching part 2 of the Grand Alaskan Adventure. This has been days 11 through 19. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back soon with part 3. Thanks for watching.